Hello everyone, and welcome back to Modern Warships with Terry. I have gotten myself a new Tier 3 ship, and I've been saving up for that because it did end up costing me $16 million, so that took a bit of grinding. But this is the Dmitry Donskoy. She is, and I think the last remaining Akula class submarine. She was built it's a Soviet Union design. And these are actually ballistic missile submarines, as in the things that are part of the nuclear triad. So the purpose of these submarines is to be underwater for extended periods of time, especially during a nuclear conflict, and to be able to launch ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads at enemy territory. That's what these things were made for. I think she's the last remaining of her class and is currently the largest submarine in the world. And these are being phased out towards the much smaller Bourret class of ballistic submarines that are currently in production. But there were some renovations done from this reasonably old design. So at least this thing is still in active service. Now, they would usually, obviously, in these shoots here, be using... Well, they'd be using nuclear missile launchers that you could launch from underwater. So the whole point of the nuclear triad here, just for those of you who may have not come across this concept, the whole idea is that it's called mutual assured destruction. And the MAD acronym for it is rather fitting. The underlying idea is that no country would ever start a nuclear war because they know that while they might be able to destroy the other country, they themselves would be destroyed as well, which makes it a lose-lose game for both. And the idea was underneath, no one's ever going to win a nuclear war, such that nobody would be stupid enough to try to win one. Obviously, there are some snags to it, but what we're talking about with the nuclear triad is generally a combination of land-based nuclear missiles. These can either be silo-based or things that are sitting on a truck and are driving around in the countryside. Driving around in the countryside has the obvious advantage that the enemy doesn't necessarily know where they are, because A, a truck is much larger, much easier to hide than a nuclear missile silo, and B, it is much easier to move around than a nuclear missile silo, which is uncomfortably stationary, which means that as soon as somebody has found out where it is, it will make a prime target for a nuclear first strike, because if you can take out the enemy nuclear missile silo first, then they can't shoot back at you from that, which meant that the silos are generally pretty well armored, but also they're not the only solution. So trucks and silos are a thing. The next thing you've got is air, right? So if you have nuclear bombs or cruise missiles or all kinds of ordnance that you can fit onto a bomber that can spend a reasonable amount of time in the air, then all you have to do is, at the time that somebody launches a nuclear strike at you, get the bombers in the air outside the blast radius, and then they can fly over to the other country that has just been doing the stupid and drop the nukes on them instead. Which also is a problem, because if you remember certain things like the stationing of intermediate nuclear missiles in Turkey and in Cuba, vice versa, the amount of time that you have from detecting that a nuclear missile is incoming to making sure that it's really a nuclear missile, because we've had a bunch of incidents where certain systems have malfunctioned and it was just down to the common sense of the officers on the ground that they haven't actually launched the counterstrike. You can't reasonably be certain that your bombers are going to be, available and outside the blast radius by the time they come in. Now, one obvious way you can do about this is to constantly have them in the air circling somewhere where there's not going to be nukes. But that's expensive and it wears down material on people and all kinds of things. And you don't want to be doing that in peacetime. So that's where kind of the third leg of the nuclear triad comes in, the submarines. So fitting a nuclear missile onto a submarine combines the usefulness of a truck-mounted nuclear launcher with the fact that the submarine is most likely not within the blast radius of the nuclear missile that has just hit your own country, because submarines tend to be underwater, or at least above water, or at least in the water most of the time. So if you can park your submarine in strike range of the enemy country somewhere in the ocean, then even if they manage to take out your nuclear missile silos, or at least most of them, and your bombers, and your trucks with missiles on them, you still have the submarines, which can then launch the counter-strike from underwater and devastate the other country. That's where this whole idea comes from. So, in-game. We're not going to go any further in that, but in-game. Obviously, we don't have any nuclear missiles on this thing, but what do we have? First of all, it's big. And this is kind of like the Kursk. It's a very big ship. It's not very maneuverable. It's not very fast. It has a reasonable amount of oxygen, but it's not an attack sub. So most of the time you'll actually be above the surface, because unlike the submarine-launched nuclear ballistic missiles that you can launch from, well, real things that you can launch from underwater, you can't do that within the game, because you actually have to be on the surface to launch them. So this thing has 4 missile slots that you can fill up, which means you've got a lot of upgrade points to spend, and it's got a double torpedo launcher slot. So we've got the twin torps kind of here-ish, and then we've got four missile launchers. Now, I have she comes with the X-35 missiles by default, and actually you can see that here better. Yeah. So she comes with the X-35 missile launchers by default. And these missiles are, well, they're quick, and I think they launch 2 of them, but they don't do a huge amount of damage. So what I've done is I've swapped 2 of the X-35s out for the P700 Granite, which is theoretically the predecessor of the P800 Onyx, but is better, because reasons. So let's have a look at the equipment shop for the tier 3 missiles. Now, I am at level 20, so I do see all the missiles now. And I haven't inspected these, because the only Soviet ones you need the hero status for, and I don't have time for that. So I could either mount a Chinese or an American onto it, and I'm certainly not going to stick an American missile onto a Soviet submarine, which leaves us with the P700 Granite. Now this thing does a 30,000 points base damage, whereas the X-35 does an 8,000 point base damage, but you get 2 of them, which means makes 16,000, which means the thing is about half as effective as the Granite, but is quicker and reloads faster, and well, you've got 2 of them, so you've got a better chance of going through. Now, why on earth have I not put the American Swarmer missiles, which launch 3, in here? Well, 2 reasons. First of all, as stated, I'm not going to stick American missiles into a Soviet-era submarine. Period. You can if you want to. I'm not going to. The second reason is well, it's got something to do with DPS. Let me drag up a spreadsheet. Give me a second. So here I've got all the, I think it was a tier 5 and 15, or level 5 and 15 available missiles listed. And as we can see, the American Swarmer missiles, while they do have a reasonably quick reload, and they have a 3-round burst, they only have a DPS of 1500, which is actually comparable to the Tomahawk missiles on the tier 2 ships. And that is because the base damage of 4000 just isn't great. Now, why does this matter? It matters because this is a game of fire supremacy. Whoever manages to kill, and well, it's not completely, but this is one important factor. You're only on 5v5. Whoever manages to kill an enemy ship first can then concentrate fire on the remaining 4 ships, which means that given that for surface ships, AA saturation is an important factor, you will often then get to the point where it gets it gets easier to kill enemy ships just by overwhelming force of firepower. So if we're looking on the American line a little bit up, we're seeing that the American missiles don't have great DPS. The two Soviet missiles, or Russian missiles, the X-35 and the P-700, actually have the same DPS. So while the X-35 has a much lower damage number, she actually has a because there are two of them, actually has the same DPS as the higher damage P-700 Granite. So why am I using the P-700? Well, if they're having the same DPS, because of the Alpha Strike. The fully upgraded P-700 actually has a 39,000 points of damage, which means with two of these things, you do almost 80,000 points of damage, which means in combination with a group of X-35s, you can almost one-shot something. Whereas with a pure X-35 setup, while you have the identical DPS, because of the faster reload, you still need more missiles. So this combination is kind of the best of both worlds. It is a high DPS combination in comparison to the other systems, and it has a murderous alpha strike, such that, and the X-35s, being the faster missiles, coming in earlier, will oftentimes distract or saturate the AA defenses such that the P-700s are getting through. Because the P-700s on themselves are quite slow. So if you fire just 4 of those, you're probably not going to get much through. Whereas if you get the X-35s, given that they're faster, coming in first, getting the AA to expend itself on these things, which don't do a huge amount of damage by themselves, and then get the P-700s as a follow-up, you actually manage to do a very, very respectable amount of damage. And this is why I have this setup. So let's have a look what that looks like in practice. We are on the Greenlands map, and we've got one carrier for sure with us. Let's see what else is there around in the enemy team. We've got, I think, 2 carriers on the enemy team, 2 subs and a destroyer. Or is that one carrier? It's difficult to see if it's one carrier or 2 carriers, because the carriers have 3 bars, the cruisers have 2. But the carrier is scouting, and I'm just going to get into position. And there's an enemy Zumwalt, so we're going to start launching at that thing. Carrier has spotted him. So I'm launching the granites first, because the X-35s are quicker, so they will overtake them. But we actually seem to be getting everything on target. So we've just taken off half a Zumwalt. And we can do it just right all over again with an over 100,000 points of damage Alpha Strike. And given that the Zumwalt has just taken some damage, I think that's now a dead Zumwalt. Okay, that thing's down. So that's 1 down. There is an enemy sub, but I don't have torpedo angles on him. Like I said, most of the time you will be spending on the surface anyway. Okay, there's the other sub. So let's see if we can either get an angle on this one, or if we can get ourselves into something else. You can't dodge torpedoes in this ship, and you need to use islands and positioning. So just like with the real strategic submarines, it is all about the positioning and where you're going to go. So right now I don't have anything to shoot at. Our carrier seems to be safe because the submarines don't have an angle on him. And there's the enemy Gerald R. Fort, so torpedoes out, and I'm just going to start launching the missiles. Once again, the X-35s are going to overtake and I think that submarine is probably dead. No, just survive. The X-35s will distract the AA. That's what they're there for, and the granites hitting for large amounts of damage. Okay, sub isn't dead. He's hiding behind the island. I can't see him anymore. But there's another sub here, so that's when you can use your torpedoes. Now, obviously, you don't have any air defense in this sort of ship because, well, it's a submarine. It doesn't have any AA. So if you are coming under air attack and there are these extremely unpleasant, like nuclear-tipped drone bomber platform things out there that can almost one-shot you. So you do need to make sure that you're using your chaff wisely, because it takes her a while to get underwater. So sinking in the sub is harder than you would assume it would be. So do keep an eye on the minimap and see if there are any fighters going for you. And okay, we've got the fort down. There's another fort class, so let's work on that one next up. The enemy subs popped up, and he is launching torpedoes at me. He has recovered some health, so I am submerging because he is on the surface, and he would get the drop on me with missiles. But he's now behind the island, so I'm just gonna have to take these torpedoes. There's nothing I can do about them, and just want to get the lock on because he seems to be attacking our carrier. But they're down to 2 ships, so if we can get this guy killed, and if I can save our carrier, he is on the surface. It's going to take him a while if he's not going to chaff, and he doesn't look like he is going to. Yeah, he's dead. All right then, that leaves the one carrier over there, the other Gerald Ford. So that's the last thing we're going to have to kill. Yeah, you do need to submerge if you are coming under attack like this. I am coming under air attack. But it's not the drone thing. Well, now that hurt. Okay, that was a nuke. You've seen the thing. You've seen the fallout. And that almost killed me. That's exactly what I was talking about. That drone thing there. You do have to be really, really careful. If that had been upgraded, I would have been dead here. That was presumably not upgraded because I've seen these things dropping their nukes and they're not fun. And it takes a long time to shoot them down anyway. Not that I have anything to shoot them down. So that's when you submerge, and then that's when you stay underwater. And because I haven't really been submerged most of the time, my O2 tanks are full, so I can just be underwater and be safe, reasonably safe from these planes, and just use my torpedoes. Because it looks like it's down to me and the friendly carrier to kill this thing. Now, I see a plane circling overhead. It's not a drone, and I am in reasonably high health by this point, but I do want to heal up a little bit more before I'm going to poke my nose out here. Or anyway, I don't have a lock-on with the torpedoes because the carrier is behind an island, which means I wouldn't have a lock-on with the missiles either. So I would just expose myself to airstrikes unnecessarily. So I might as well just, stay underwater where I'm safe from airstrikes mostly. And yeah, there comes the drone thingy again. I really don't like these things. And once we're in torpedo range, then we can consider poking our nose up to the surface and launching our missiles. So we're just gonna have to cross this island. Okay, now he's in torpedo range, so let's just get the torpedoes out. And I don't know how much health the friendly carrier is on, so I'm still being careful. Yeah, the drone is circling overhead, so I don't want to have another nuke dropped on me. But let's see if we can just do the deed with torpedoes. Now I am getting torpedo dropped from whatever helicopter that thing is flying there, but it's not going to kill me. I can try to brush it off on the island by just reversing and see if that thing is going to hit something in the shallows, but it looks like it made its way through, so that's going to hit. But yeah, it's not a huge amount of damage from these helicopter drop torpedoes. And yeah, we can just stay here and drop torpedoes on this thing. There's not an awful lot the carrier can do about this. And anyway, he is in a battle with the friendly carrier. So just making sure that we're doing our part here. And we're not getting nuked by that nasty drone that's been flying overhead. And yeah, this is one thing you can do in like late game situations when there are carriers around still, and you have enough torpedoes to do the damage. The problem is you oftentimes don't, and if you also can't stay underwater indefinitely, and airstrikes can take you very, very easily. So. But I think we've almost got him whittled down. So let's get up topside, and obviously immediately the autocannons are starting to open up at us. But we've got a missile strike away. There comes the drone, but I think we're going to kill him before. Yep, there we go. So yeah, 800,000 points of damage is something you can reasonably achieve in the Donskoy. Now here we are on the, what's it called, Unexplored Rocks map? Yeah. And once again, the islands are really your friend because you need to use them to defend yourself from torpedoes and from missiles. But we'll start out on the surface. There are 2 subs in the enemy team, and I think 1 carrier. Someone's shooting at me, which isn't going to have any effect. No friendly fire. Sorry, bite. So we're just gonna sail around a little bit. I think we have. Do we have 1 carrier? Yeah, we have 1 carrier on the friendly team. So. Is that carrier going to launch planes anytime soon? Doesn't look like. Which means we might be spotted here. So we're just going to poke our nose around this island, and we can use this ledge to defend ourselves from torpedoes. You can use chaff, obviously, to get missiles to miss. And okay, we've got an enemy Donskoy over there on the surface. So let's get the missiles out on that thing, just in case he isn't paying any attention. And also we haven't really spotted the enemy carrier quite yet. Okay, there's one ship over there. Okay, it's Piotr Veliki, so missiles out. And there's, I think that's the enemy carrier over there. But they don't seem to be targeting me, so we're gonna get the shots in. And yeah, as you can see, 100,000 points of damage from a alpha strike on this missile setup is making very short work of these things. Now, yeah, once again, you could do this with the you could do this with the just purely with the X-35s as well, but you need more salvos for it. And they do reload faster. So the DPS once again is the same, but you still need more salvos with it. Whereas if you have anything that's reasonably damaged, with a single salvo, you can kill it, which is what makes all the difference. Oh, we've got a Kursk in the enemy team. What are you doing here? You're a tier 2 ship. Someone's loaded tier 3 weapons on his tier 2 ship, hasn't they? Okay, there's a Chinese. What is it? Is it a destroyer? Yeah, it's a destroyer. Let's get another strike out. So yeah, don't get confused with the DPS values. You'll have to see them in context with the alpha strike, because while the granite's taking a longer time to reload, I can actually still get a. If they are reloaded, I can actually take out a ship. That's kind of where this setup comes from. Okay, he's killed our carrier and is hiding behind the island. Is he going to stop there, or is he going to poke his nose out? My torpedo is still coming in, and I think he is. No, he's going to hide behind the island. Okay, so we've got two cruisers or something. I'm gonna start submerging here a little bit, just in case anybody's trying to shoot at me. Not sure with that guy over there. But I do want to get behind the island, and that looks like another Donskoy over there maybe, or something Chinese, and there's the Kursk over in that direction. So let's see where we can help out the most. Obviously there's that destroyer behind the island over there, so I do want to get some hard cover between myself and him. Yep, there we go. And see if we can... Yep, there comes the enemy. What's it? Donskoy, I think? Oh, he's seen me. Okay, that hurts. Okay, I'm gonna heal and crash dive and go back behind the island. I thought he was not paying that much attention, but obviously he has. So, yep, that hurt, but that's okay, I can sustain that. And now he's going to have a problem. Now I can't shoot missiles at the Donskoy because I've got that destroyer right behind me, but I've got a friendly ship just passing overhead that looks like it's going to do something about that destroyer. And once he's behind the island, I can surface again and use my missiles on that enemy Donskoy over there. Nope, they've taken each other out, which means that I'm now alone against a full health Donskoy and a Kursk on the other end. So now, once again, it becomes extremely important to not make this a fair fight for them and actually get them into 2 one-on-ones. So I'm going to keep that island between myself and the Kursk and keep launching torpedoes at the Donskoy. I'm not sure what he's trying to do. I'm not sure why he's not launching torpedoes. Either he's out or he's just desperately trying to get behind that island over there. But see if I can get him killed before that and then deal with the Kursk. I'm just using the island as missile defense. Okay, he gets behind the island. I can no longer target him, so he's going to heal up. Okay, so that's unfortunate. Yeah, definitely a good game. This is always fun if it actually becomes a bit of a challenge. Okay, so this guy is behind the island. We can play Ring Around the Roses. We're the same ship. So, but I am going to get shot at by the Kursk at any moment. Where was that guy? Oh, there he is. Okay. That's he is actually on the surface, so he's got torpedoes away. So missiles out, and he's probably either going to dive or chaff the missiles. But I do also have to keep an eye on that guy. So I don't want to engage both of them at the same time. I just want to make sure. Okay, we've got some good missile hits on the Kursk. He hasn't been paying attention, or hasn't had his chaff ready. So there comes some torpedoes. Not much I can do about those. Chaff the other missiles, and then get a second alpha strike out on the Kursk. And let's see if we can get ourselves behind the island such that the torpedo hitting the ledge, but these are quick torpedoes. I'm not sure that no, they were too close already, so I'm going to take those. That's okay, I'm still alive. And I'm still on more than half health, so okay, so Kursk is once again behind the island. This guy doesn't want to come out. So we're going to deal with the Kursk then. Let's see. I just don't want to fight both of them at the same time. Okay, torpedoes out. He's underwater. Now he's sending torpedoes, so I'm reversing such that his torpedoes are going to hit the island. Also be aware of where your torpedoes are coming from. They're coming from your bow section. The launcher is mounted in the nose. Okay, enemy Donskoy comes out. So torpedoes out at this guy. He's healed up and keeping the eye against the island between myself and the Kursk again. such that, once again, we're only firing one at a time. Now, I'm locked onto him, obviously, so if he's surfacing, I'm going to get the first... He does have torpedoes. I should be able to get the first missile strike off if he is coming out to surface. But it'll be an even, even if he's trading. He might be trying to go for the ram, actually. That would not be an unwise choice. So I'm going to have to move ahead here, such that he's not going to ram me. And see if I can get him killed before he gets another torpedo salvo off. All the while keeping the island between myself and the Kursk. Okay, that's the Donskoy dead. That just leaves the Kursk. Alright, nice, nice. Yeah, I don't know if he was out of torpedoes and if that was his last set and he was trying to go for the ram. But he could have gone up for missiles as well. At worst, he would have had a chance to... If we're trading, they're still winning because, well, the Kursk is still alive. So if he's on the surface, I'm going to kill him, because my Alpha Strike is enough to kill a full health Kursk, because of the granite missiles. If this was just X-35s, my Alpha Strike wouldn't be. Okay, he's on the surface. He knows where I'm here, right? He's seen me. So if he doesn't shaft this, he's dead. Okay, he's got torpedoes out and missiles, and I'm gonna back up. But that should be sufficient, and there he goes, yeah. This is why I'm sailing with with a mixed loadout, because I can actually, even though I have the same DPS, I have a higher Alpha Strike if they are reloaded, and I can one-shot like a submarine like this. Anyway, this is rapidly becoming one of my favorite ships. This is a very, very excellent ship, and it's great fun to play. So it was well worth the 16 million. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.